how I don't fit. We talked about the fact that, Sister Christine, there are things that we have outgrown. There are things we have matured past. There are things that we have now been called to that is past our peers. And we talked about eagles and how eagles don't really hang out with chickens because eagles are created to soar and chickens are just created to be devoured. Glory to God. Amen. Amen. And we committed last week to being the eagle God called us to be. And to stop living below who God made us. That's not that every person is insignificant or every person doesn't have a role or every person is invaluable. But when you internally recognize your value, you start to live above certain circumstances and you just don't fit in anymore. In fact, that was the title for last week. I don't fit anymore. And we discovered that there are three options. There are three options when you don't fit. The first option was I can let it go. I can just let it be what it is. The second option we discovered last week was we can repair it. I can try to fix what I have. I'm not going to add anything to it. The scripture, for those of you who are listening so intently, talks about, in Mark chapter 2, verse 22, it talks about how we don't put new fabric in old stuff. Right. You can't repair it with new fabric. Sometimes you can just repair what you got. Yeah. But don't put nothing new in that thing. Right. And then the last thing, last principle we talked about last week is you can stop this and start new. Sister Christine, I went home and that thing wouldn't let me go. Sparks, I thought about that message all week long. And it shook me. And I started to listen to the message from last week. And Crenshaw, I realized something. I left some loose ends. So I'm going to go back in today and kind of help tie up some of the loose ends that I saw that I left. I argued with myself when I got home like, dude, you should have said that. And I was like, I'll give you some more breath if you say it. I said, okay, I got you, God. So today I want to hone in on the subject, let it go. Let it go. You don't fit. That's true. That's true. But when do I know? Because I know when I don't fit. I got a text, I promise you. I ain't one of them preachers that's just going to make up some stuff that sounds real good but don't got no foundation. I'm about to go to the Bible, okay, brother? Just stay with me. Because you know when you don't fit in certain circles anymore. Right. Your spirit, your mind will tell you. When they start arguing over who paying for the gas, you realize, wait, hold on, I outgrew this. Because you know everybody got some friends or some acquaintances or some old associates that still act like they in high school. Amen. Man, I got 10 on the tank. Can you take me over Keisha's house? But that's a trivial argument. We don't argue about stuff. When you grown, you don't argue about stuff like that no more. You don't argue over, y'all women keep your amens low, but you don't argue over somebody else's man when you've matured. Amen. When you done matured. Now, Sister Christine, that's when you've matured. Because there's some women who are, y'all excuse me, I'm about to say it and I'm going to move on because I heard it this week. There are some women, Minister Kiera, that age and maturity are two different things. Amen. And there are some women who are 70 and still arguing over somebody else's man. Amen. So that's a maturity level. That's a maturity level. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I'm not talking to those individuals today who are trying to fit into circles because you want to look good. I'm talking to those people who naturally no longer fit. Mm-hmm. It naturally no longer works. So let's go to the Word of God. Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 13. Yeah.
The first page first.
Matthew chapter 13. I feel like teaching today. Huh? Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Matthew chapter 13. I like that. When you found Matthew 13, say word for me. I'm going to start at verse 24. And another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. The enemy came and sowed tares. The enemy, watch this. I want to help you with an old English word. Tare is weed. That's what it means. Not weed, puff, puff, pass, but weed like in the garden. The enemy came and sowed weeds in the garden while the man slept in it. Verse 26. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. He didn't know it was weeds in the field until the fruit started coming. You know, watch this. Most of us don't know we've outgrown our circle until it's time to make a decision that evidences our growth, that we realize, man, I don't fit here no more.
Amen. Amen.
Oftentimes, watch this, maturity happens slowly and silently. I like this. I'm going to have to work on this thing. Maturity normally happens, growth. Watch this, not becoming a Christian, but growing as a Christian normally happens silently and slowly. You don't wake up one morning and like, ooh, I'm sanctified now. It's normally a stretch of time where God is purifying you. He's changing habits, and he's working on your mind, and he's changing things in your thought life. And then you normally get put in an old situation with a new mind, and then you realize, dang, I don't fit here no more.
Amen.
You'll slide by one of the old stomping grounds. You'll slide by community spirits, where community spirits used to be your hangout, and then you be like, dang. You sitting out, E&J used to be your drink, urban jerk. You sitting outside the liquor store like, dang, I don't even want that no more. Watch this. And it's because God is perfecting something in your mind. Mm-hmm. This is why I teach this, Brittany. You don't tell people to pull up their pants and then come to church. You don't tell young men, pull up your pants so you in God's house. Watch this. If we pour something into their hearts, God will lift their pants.
That's right. That's
right. We have to learn that what you see is a result of what people think. And if we learn to affect their thinking, we'll affect what we see. That's right. We too busy trying to make people look like church instead of be church. And whenever you perfect the look of church, you cripple the ability of God to make you the church. Because so many actors, it's enough actors on this stage. All right. I got to finish my text. Y'all stop. Brother, if you keep looking at me like this, it's going to be a rough Sunday for us because I'm going to keep teaching like this. Here it is. So the servant of the householders came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath thee it tares? Where did these weeds come from? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The devil did it. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? You want us to go kill the tare right now? The servant was about that life. Watch this, Sister Elliott. The servant was so about that life, he said, I'll kill it right now. Watch this. And watch this. I'm talking to somebody's spirit. I promise you I'm going to teach a whole bunch of good principles today. But I'm talking to somebody's spirit who is at the place where, like, I can kill the relationship right now, Jesus. I can walk out of this thing right now. If you say the word, I promise you I'm cutting ties right this minute. I got a text message already prepared, a resignation letter already in my save file. All you got to do is say the word and it's getting sent. That's what the servant was like. Verse 29. But the master said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather you together gather together first the tares, get the weeds together, bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat unto the barns. Just as a reminder, I'm teaching from the subject today, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. What spiraled this line of thinking, when do I know it's okay to let it go? There's a fork in the road most of the time as Christians, and we have to figure out or decipher. A great Christian has to decipher how they approach a circumstance. Because I've discovered, Sister Christine, that approach is everything. When I was a little boy, I got a lot of whoopings, Brother Jerry, because my mama would say, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. You get smart with me? No, ma'am. I was just telling you. It ain't how you said it. Delivery is everything. And as Christians, when we approach the fork in the road of maturity, when we approach the fork in the road of development, we must understand that approach is everything. Because I want to endeavor to help you, because I believe in the Spirit right now. You have some big decisions to make about some of the people in your circle and some of the things that you are working with and some of the things on your job, some of the things concerning your health. And you got to figure out, should I let this go or do something about it? Watch this. I'm going to help you identify it really fast. The way to identify whether or not you should touch it or let it go is, if you touch it, will it hurt it more than it helps? If I put my hand in this, is it going to hurt the situation more than it's going to help the situation? That's a key question. You need to ask yourself, if I cut, watch this, because I don't want to cut relationships off in this season that they need me to or need to see me. Watch this. Sister Nan, there's some people we would rather not deal with, but God keeps them in our circle so that they can see God in us. You are a billboard for the glory of God, and you have to be very careful disassociating yourself from people that God has you witnessing to, because you don't like their habits. Because you feel like you've outgrown them. You have to, watch this, because I don't belong to me, I don't get to pick my associations either. I'm going to say it again. Because I don't belong to me, Sister Elliott, I don't get to pick my association. That means that God on purpose keeps people in my atmosphere I don't want to associate with. I'm tired of talking to them, but he keeps them around me because he needs them to see God on me. I want to ask you, before you dismiss that person in your life right now, before you call it quits with that person, before you say, I don't want to talk to you no more, I want to ask you, is your presence pushing Jesus into their life? Because if it is, cutting them off will hurt. Watch this, Brother Jason. I want to take it just a step deeper. Whenever you are a billboard for Jesus, you are the representation of Christ. And some people will misunderstand. You paying too close attention. Look, little brother. Some people will equate you to Jesus. You are Jesus' voice in that moment in their life. And if you cut them off when God didn't tell you to cut them off, they will think God cut them off. Because see, when I was a baby, I had to be carried and fed. And if my mother drops me as a baby while she's the one responsible for carrying and feeding me, it will hurt me and my development. I wonder if there are any Christians in this room who have a hard time letting go because you were dropped as a child. I ain't talking about your mama and them now. I'm talking about when you came to Jesus, you got in that group of people that said they were Christian, and they acted and talked like Christian people, but then their actions didn't act like Christian people, and they dropped you in your development, and now you're having a hard time letting go of your current relationships because you're wounded. You know, watch this, Sister Christine. I think I'm balling down somebody out there, so I think I'm going to keep working in this vein. You know, when you've been wounded in your development, it'll make you hold on to stuff you ought to let go of.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, watch this. When you've been wounded in your development, it'll make you hold on to things. And I need some people in here to know that this message is here today because God is asking you to let some things go. And that doesn't mean that you have to disassociate. Watch this. Letting go today, Brother Jason, I want to qualify it here. Letting go today means to stop trying to make stuff happen in it. See, Some of us think of letting go like, nah, I ain't cool with you no more. We good, bruh. But really letting go is taking my hands off of it so God can make it what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Watch this. Too many people are trying to paint their own picture of destiny when you don't have authorization to hold the brush. I'm going to say it again. Too many people are trying to paint the picture of their destiny. You're trying to make something happen. You're trying to manufacture something great. And when God is actually calling you to let go of what you're holding and let him make the greatness happen. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and in due season, he will exalt you. All right. I suspect there's some people in here who's trying to let it go. You're trying to let it go in your friendships. I'm holding on too tight to people. Because, you know, separation anxiety is real. They don't talk about this kind of stuff in church. But I'm just retarded enough to just, you know, I'm a little crazy enough. I don't mean retarded, but I'm crazy enough to just kind of discuss this kind of stuff. Separation anxiety is very real. And we have a generation of church people that are being raised up that are suffering from separation anxiety. They need to be plugged into somebody at all times, or they feel anxious or less than themselves. They get the jitters. They feel, you can feel suicidal being separated. Alone hurts. Yeah, y'all can look at me like that you want to. But one of the hardest things to do about being a Christian is to be alone. Watch this, because alone, God deals with me.
Yes.
Alone, I can't blame nobody.
Yes.
You gotta learn, identify when your friendships are damaging your growth. But you also have to realize or attend to when your friendship is more valuable to the kingdom than how you feel. I mean, I'm about to go past Elliot, but this dude named Jesus in the Bible, man, he had 12 homies. He had 12 homies. And watch this, Miss T. One of his homies was a bad dude. One of his homies didn't have his best interest at heart. One of his homies eventually sold him out. And one of his homies eventually snitched on him, told the people where to find him. One of his homies was responsible for the crucifixion. Watch what I'm saying. It's one of his homies. Jesus knew who Judas was, but did not disassociate himself because he knew who he was. Jesus did not say, hey, you're a sellout, we can't be cool. Jesus said, looked at Judas and said, you selling me out will bring God more glory, so you stay close. That's why friendships. There's some family relationships that you have outgrown and you're trying to figure out, do I fix it or let it go? Y'all, don't get too quiet out here, because everybody got a cousin, Ray Ray, who you used to kick it with, but you don't kick it with no more, and you trying to figure out how to handle Ray Ray, because Ray Ray just inboxed you and said, let's kick it, cuz. How do I handle that? Because see, Ray Ray needs to see Jesus on me, but Ray Ray may be too familiar with me to even see Christ. So I have to determine, have I grown to a place where I'm stable enough for Ray Ray to see Jesus on me? If not, I need to disassociate. I'm going to say that again. Have you grown to a place where you're stable enough? Because see, Crenshaw, there is this in this walk toward Christianity, in this season that you're in, as you develop sparks, you go through turbulent seasons where you're not fully grown yet. I think that's the right answer, but I ain't solid yet. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay to, but don't try to tell somebody about what you're unsure of. Get yourself to a stable place. And then you can be like, all right, Ray, let's go ahead and kick it. Because now I'm okay and I'm stable. I promise you, I'm going to make it through this message. We about to move. Okay, so Matthew 13, this weed and wheat thing, this weed and wheat thing. I need to identify the weeds in my life. Because if I'm going to let it go, I got to figure out what's the weed. A weed is a plant that's created to pull life from. A weed is a plant that is created to pull life from. Check this out. My mother didn't know she was in the message the other day. We was riding around and was looking at the trees and how they changing color. Like, fall is dope. It's really a great season. You know, fall is the one season you can remix your outfit. You had that summer shirt and that winter jacket. You can kind of put them together and make it look a little flyer. Yeah, I love fall. And plus, it's big boy season. Glory to God. Amen. And it's my season right here. Amen. But while we were driving and looking at the trees, we were reminded last year in June we took this trip to Louisiana. Me and my mom. And while we were riding to Louisiana, we rode through Mississippi, and something very interesting happened. There were all of these trees on the side of the road that looked green. Like, at first glance, you're like, oh, that's a nice tree. Until you looked a little closer, and you recognized that the tree was actually dead. It was just covered in weeds. Watch this. Because a weed is created to suck life from. And the weed had so wrapped up the tree that it had taken all of the life out of the tree. And the tree still looked alive, but it was dead.
Yes. Yes.
I wonder, are there any trees in the room that are dead because you've had too many weeds wrapped around you for too long? Too many people pulling on this and taking this resource and pulling out of this. Watch this. You're not created to give more than you need to live. I'm going to say it again. You're not created to give more than you need to live. If giving to you is killing me, I need to pause and reevaluate, because I might need to let this relationship go, because I wasn't created to give to one. I was created to give to everybody, and I don't need any more weeds sucking all the life out of me. Fix the text. Matthew 13. Watch this. Sister Christine, I thought this was really dope. I did my good study here, Pastor Elliott. The word tear in this text refers to a weed known as, I believe it's darnel. I might pronounce it wrong, but I can spell it right. Darnel. It's a weed. I was like, what? This is a weed? Watch this. Brittany, I think you can appreciate that the weed that was planted next to the wheat looked just like the wheat. They grow up exactly the same. They look exactly the same. Crenshaw, the only time you're able to identify the weed from the wheat is when they start to give off fruit. Watch this. Here, don't run on this one. But watch this. This is really cool. The wheat fruit is so heavy that the wheat, when it buds, it droops because it's heavy. But when the wheat buds, it looks just like the wheat, but it's not heavy because it's not made for consumption. And sometimes we need to learn that the weed looks just like the wheat in our lives, but the wheat is not heavy. The weed is not heavy, so it can't handle who we are. So you look right, you talk right, you smell right, you sound right, but the moment I go through, you can't handle the weight. Can I tell us something? And then I'm going to move to some principles about letting it go. But can I tell us something? Some of the storms you've been going through has been God giving you the identity of those individuals in your circle. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes God will send you through a storm so he can identify for you who you got on your team. Because some of us, we thought they were ride or die until we didn't have, and then when we didn't have, we found out they were fake and fickle. Watch this. We can identify weeds because when we need someone to encourage us, the weed will call you and suck life out of you.
Yes.
See, I started listening to my conversations. I started playing my conversations back, Pastor Elliott. And there are some people, don't get this twisted, that I was created to pour into. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about assignment. I'm talking about friendship. There's a difference. Please hear me. Assignment are those people God called you to pour into. Don't become friends with assignments, because assignments are temporary. I'm only here for a season to serve you. But there are some people you call friends. And those are, the Bible says a brother is born for adversity. Those are the individuals who are created to help you go through the storm. And whenever you call somebody a friend, and you're going through and you call them and say, hey, yo, bruh, man, life is hard right now. See, talk to my family. And by the end of the conversation, watch this, Crenshaw, don't shout out your shoes. By the end of the conversation, your friend will take what you're going through to create something that they're going through so that you feel bad for even calling them with what you're going through. That's a weed. You can't lean on them. They don't got enough substance to hold you. If you call somebody and say, hey man, I just need a second, I don't need them often, hear what I'm going through, and they can't pour back into you, learn. Either that's an assignment or it's an assignment from God or the devil. Either God is calling you to pour into them and you look for a resource from somebody who wasn't equipped to be a resource in your life. Learn their limit. You say, okay, here's your boundary. I can't call you with my issue. I'm only created for your issue. That's okay. I'm a pourer in your life. But then you also need to make sure it's not an assignment from the devil. It's somebody who's just created in your circle to pour. Not to go for my principles, but see, I want to go back because I might be talking to some trees. Do you have some dead areas in your life and it's only dead because people kept pulling from you in that place?
Yes.
Is your credit score dead because you got Keisha and them some cable and Ray and them got lights in your name and they ran your credit through the mud? Watch this. Those were weeds. Cut the weed off. Let the weed go. Mm-hmm. Okay. You in here, you like, look, dude. Okay, you made your point. I need to let some stuff go because I don't want to be like the tree. But how? How do I let it go? Watch this. You look strong. You strong? You strong? You come here. Come here. Hurry up. Move quick. Move back on your feet. You look strong. You strong? Can you hold my arm? No, with both your arms. I want you to. I'm gonna try to shake you off in a second, so I need you to get a good grip. You got it? You got it? See, the tree is entangled in the root. You see this right here? My arm being the tree, his hands being the weed. Crenshaw, how do I let it go when I'm in it? How do I let it go when I'm stuck in it? How do I watch this? And I want to talk to some people who the wind has already come, and you hold on, and I tried to let it go, but I couldn't. I tried. I don't want to be your friend no more. I don't want to be in this situation. I fasted and prayed, and God let me. I don't want to be attached to them anymore. I want to be free, but it won't let me go. I'm stuck in it. How do I let it go when I'm stuck in it and I can't get out of it? Let me go. He's so silly. There's somebody's spirit right now, though. You have a cousin, you're trying to get out of it, but you're in too deep. The first thing I want to tell you today, if you really want to get out of it, is you need to leave it. It was something very interesting. When he was holding my arm, Pastor Elliott, the more I pulled, the harder he gripped me. Because he wasn't going to let me go. He heard me. He said, I said, don't let me go. At first, his grip was too loose. I was like, bro, you know, I'm going to pull and you go. But then when I pulled that first time, he started tightening up. And the more I fought with him, the tighter he got. Watch this. Here's what I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to teach you that you need to leave that relationship where it is in its own skin, because the harder you try to fight to get out of it, the harder, the more the grip will become. And the harder to get out, to get out. The landmaster, where do you get the principle from biblically? I like you because you asking those critical questions. The landowner in the text in Matthew 13, he says, they say, should we kill it? Should we go get the tear? The landmaster says, no, don't go get the tear, let him grow. Because he said, you will do too much to the good if you don't let it go. Wait for it. Wait for it. And I suspect in my spirit, God is telling somebody in here to stop fighting it and let it go and wait for harvest. Wait for harvest. I'm going to argue my principles really quickly. And the second thing I need you to know, is let God speak to it. Y'all say, let it go.
Let it go.
Y'all say, let God speak to it.
Let God speak to it.
I don't need to touch anything else in my life until I have a revelation about it. Let me tell you why. Because I've messed up so much stuff because I didn't know how to handle it. I was the only child, and I have been destructive by nature for a long time. Pray for me. I was the kid you could give a toy to and then turn your back, and before you knew it, it was broken and taken apart. My mom probably blood just started boiling all over again. Give me a radio, see if I don't figure out where the speaker is at. I'm going to have to go get my little handy dandy tools and see if I can take it apart, because I am that kid. But I learned that when you teach me how to handle the toy, I handle it better.
Yes.
You are dealing with some stuff that you need to seriously sit down in God's presence and ask him, why am I in this and how can I handle it? How do you want me to handle it? But watch this, Crenshaw. Watch this. If you're going to let God speak to it, you have to be mature enough to hear the instruction. Because I want you to understand something. When you let God speak to circumstances in your life, it's not going to feel good to your flesh. It's normally going to challenge your faith. So many Christians say they hear God because it tickles their flesh when they have not heard God at all. When God speaks, it normally cuts, then heals. Watch this. I'm going to say that again because it really just resonated in me. When God speaks to you, one of the ways I identify God's voice in my life is it hurts before it heals. Because God isn't in my presence to make me feel good. He's in my presence to make me good. And the road to good is a whole lot of hell. Okay. Yeah. All right, y'all ready to go? Watch this. Let me give you an example. James chapter 5. Verse 7. James chapter 5, verse 7. It tells us the way to fight the devil is to resist the devil. And the Bible says when you resist him, he will flee. Watch this. The command of God is uncomfortable because most of us are natural fighters. Most of us want to beat up those who try to ride up on us. Watch this. The truth is, Crenshaw, most of us are losing to the devil because we're still trying to fight him. When God said resist him, let it go. You want to know how the devil will beat you? If the devil can get you to engage in a fight with him, he gets victory. Oh, I'm going to teach good today. I think I'm doing my thing, Sister Nissa. The devil is beating most of us because we're actively fighting him when the Bible has already declared to us if we would resist him, then we would get victory. Not just a victory, but we would make him run from us. I put the devil on the run at the degree I listen to God speak to my issue and resist him. I gotta let it be. Let God speak to it. And then I need to let it go. I need to let it go. The text says that when harvest time comes, the landmaster will speak and he will say to them to collect the tare, get the weeds, and bind them together and burn them. Watch this. But Crenshaw, you can't be more in love with the weeds in your life than you are with the God of your life.
That's right.
Because some of us have snuck weeds or tares out of the field and kept them because we didn't want God to burn that one yet. Mm-hmm. I need you to know you have to allow God to burn up every mindset that does not bring him glory. Oh God. Y'all excuse me, I just felt something there. God, any mindset in this room that don't bring you glory, we give you permission to burn it now. God, every relationship that's not created and ordained by heaven, burn it up now. God, every leech, every weed in our lives, God, as we approach harvest season, God, we yield to you today. Burn it up, God. God, lastly, help us fall more in love with you than we are with the weeds.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, letting go of weeds is hard to do sometimes. Because I done got so used to the weeds being in my field that I don't know how to function without them. You know, weeds can become crutches. You do know that sometimes you can be so used to being broken that being whole makes you uncomfortable. You can be so used to unhealthy relationships that healthy relationships make you uncomfortable. If you've had unhealthies all your life, watch this. They don't teach this often, but I want to tell you, you will start to seek unhealthy because all you've been exposed to is unhealthy. Burn up the mind today. All right, the last thing is you got to let it in. You got to learn that the weeds, you got to let them go. But the wheat, you have to let that in. I got a simple close for this. I hope I've challenged your thinking enough today that you leave church today not with a shout in your heart, but with a dang, I probably should let that go. I was talking to somebody who was going through some stuff. Hell was breaking loose. All kind of stuff was going wrong, Crenshaw. And I asked them, are you maximizing the storm? Are you learning every lesson possible in the storm? Watch this. Some of us need to learn that we need to this old school stuff. We got this new age Christianity, Pastor Elliott. I just don't be understanding it. Where the people only study the Word on Sunday mornings and Wednesday evenings, and nobody read their Bible. But it's some people in here, I hope to God, that read their Bible every day. I got to get this Word in me. If you don't, I want to challenge you to do so. Get the Word in you. Here's why I'm here. Because what you're going through, you will go through it again if you don't learn the lesson in it. You have to ask yourself this week, here come my challenge. Ask yourself this week, why am I in this storm? What? 6.5 closes, there's number 7. Why am I in? What is God trying to teach me in this? How can I master the lesson? Because I'm at 6.5, I'm gonna make my last one good. Watch this. In school, in college, we had this thing called accelerated courses. And so a traditional semester, August to December, 16 weeks, the grind. But then we had some classes that were about a week and a half long, and you met every day, and you worked through that stuff every day, and you had to be focused. I need some of us to know God wants to give us accelerated classes in the spirit, but we're spending too much time on trivial stuff. Ask Him why you're in it, what can you do to get out of it, and what lesson you should learn in it. As you ask those questions, you will grasp the principles, and you will never have to fight that fight again. Amen?
Amen.